Next assessment, the assessment of the nose. So you need to assess the septum of the nose. So inside the septum of the nose, whether the septum is deviated or not, that to be assessed. You can use the nasal speculum. So you can use the nasal speculum. With the help of that, you can hold it. Then you have to on the light, and you have to pull the up and down, side to side, and you can see inside whether there is any crust formation or there is any blisters or an infection, any discharge, or that you can, any blockage is there, that you can check it. So the next one, you have to know about the nose, that is a patency of the airflow. So ask the client to close one nose and to inhale and exhale. And this why similarly the next nostrils also, we have to ask the client to do the close it to one nostril and ask the patient to inspire the air and exhale. Can you please close one nostril and okay, next one. So the patency of the airflow is good. Now I'm asking the patient to close his eyes. So that means I'm going to check the cranial nerve again. The cranial nerve is that is olfactory. So the olfactory, the nerve which is cranial nerve 1, that is a nerve which is responsible for the smell. So ask the patient to close his eyes, and I'm giving certain perfumes or any good pleasant smell or a foul smell. The patient has to differentiate about the smell. Here I am going to give the patient to know about the patient the nerve integrity. That means the patient having the ability to smell or not. So can you please close the eyes? I will give you some objects or things that you should identify what is that, the help of the smell. Can you smell it? What is this?
Talcum powder.
Okay, is correct. And the next one, can you see the smell? What is this?
Nail color.
Nail polish. Okay, as he told that the two colors to smell, he can able to differentiate. So the cranial nerve is intact. That is olfactory. The nerve is intact. Next assessment is the assessment of the ear. So in the ear, you have to see the helix of the ear, how the pinna, how it looks, and the shape of the earlobe, that to be checked. And you have to see any lesions or any small skin blisters or anything is there. You have to pull the ear and see in the ear canal any visible, any infection or any drainage or any pus, that to be noticed that. And you have to see, palpate, you have to just palpate the pinna of the ear, any muscles or any pain the patient is having. When you're pulling like this, the patient may, in case of ear infection, the patient may have the pain. So you have to palpate and see that how the this patient feel that. After that, here the mastoid process, that to be palpated, that is behind the ear. So the mastoid process, that to be palpated. After palpating whether the patient is having any pain, that to be identified. After that, by the help of using the otoscope. So this is a otoscope, there is a lens is there. So there is a light. So when you get it on, the light will be getting on. So with the help of one eye, you can see inside of the ear. So you can see through the lens, you can see inside the ear canal, the inner ear will be visible. So in case of the right side, if you are checking the right ear, the cone of the light will be going and falling. That it will be looks like, if there is no damage of the eardrum, it will fall on like 5 o'clock direction. And left ear, that will fall on 7 o'clock direction if there is no membrane which is torn. So that you can see. So now I am introducing, the light is getting on. So I am introducing into the ear canal, and with the help of the lens I am seeing that So there is no visible infection or the light which is falling in the 5 o'clock direction, that you can check in the both the ear. So in the ear you can see that there is no infection. With the help of the otoscope you checked, you didn't see any infection, and the patient also not having any pain when you palpating. When you palpating the mastoid process also the patient is not having any pain, that you assessed. The next one, you have to do the hearing test. For doing the hearing test, you need to have the tuning fork. So with the help of the tuning fork, you can check the air conduction and the bone conduction of the ear. So in the air conduction and the bone conduction of the ear, then we check with the help of tuning fork. So with the help of the tuning fork, you can able to find out the air conduction or the bone conduction. Normally the bone, the mastoid bone, this also will conduct the vibration inside the inner ear to the nerve, to the brain for the hearing. At the same thing, the air also, the waves will be conducted for hearing. So with the help of the tuning fork, when you vibrate it, there is a vibration. So you can, that is, you can keep this vibration. Ask the patient to keep it on the mastoid bone, and you have to ask the client, are you getting the vibration? So one point the vibration will be stopped hearing, then you have to keep it on over the patient air conduction. So now still the patient is keep on getting the air conduction, and you have to compare the air conduction and bone conduction. That is called a Reynolds test. In Reynolds test, you have to check the vibration of the bone as well as air conduction. So in the bone conduction, suppose it is the longer than the air conduction, then the test is negative. So if it is positive, means the air conduction to be longer than listening the through the bones. Bone also conduct the waves, air also will conduct the waves for the nerves to be taken up and to be interpreted by the brain and the nerve which is responsible, and you will be getting the like hearing. So the way of mechanism. So now, so after that, that is called Reynolds test. The Reynolds test means, so after you have to strike it over that, and you have to keep the this tuning fork on the mastoid bone. After stop listening, and you have to ask the patient to listen this to the air conduction, then you have to compare it. So in the Weber's test, you have to strike it on it, and the middle part of the head, you have to hold, keep it, and you have to ask the patient. So the both the sides, this is a bone conduction, both the sides equally the sound will be vibrated. So then is a burst. If it is vibrating both the sides, the patient can listen the sound equally, then the Weber's test is positive. So that I am going to check now. When you stop listening, you tell me.
Stop.
Okay. So now I am asking the client whether this is a bone conduction is longer and the air conduction. So you listen the both the side the vibration. From here the bone you are getting a little longer time, or from the through the ear you are getting the longer time.
Through ear longer.
So through ear the patient is still getting the longer time when you comparing that. So the air conduction is longer than the bone conduction. So the Reynolds test is positive. So that means there is no conductive defect in the patient. So both the ear to be checked. Followed by you have to check the Weber's test. That means you have to strike it over that.
Stop.
You have to ask the client, are you getting the both the ears equally the sound?
Yes.
So a client is getting the sounds of, that is a bone conduction. So both the ears equally. So the Weber's test also positive. If the client is getting one side and not one side, means there is a defect in the conduction defect, or in case of sensory nerve defect also, or in inner ear there is a injury of the eardrum, or if there is a infection which can cause the injury, so the patient may go for sensory defect. So the patient further has to go for again to reevaluation, and the patient has to use a hearing aid in the type of, as per the type of the deafness. The next one, assessment of the oral cavity. So in the assessment of the oral cavity, it depends the condition of the client. If the patient is having some contagious diseases or any communicable diseases, you have to wear the mask and the eye shield, and even you should wear the sterile gloves. So before doing the procedure to the patient, you should get it ready and you have to approach the client. After approaching the client, first thing you have to check that the lips, the color of the lips, that to be checked, any crack is there, any lesions are there, any blisters are there in the lips, that to be checked. After that, you have to ask the patient to open the mouth, and with the help of the tongue blade, you have to depress the tongue and you have to see inside the color of the tongue, normally it will be pink color, and also you have to see the moisture of the tongue. You should have enough moisture, and at the side of the oral cavity, that to be checked, any wound or any lesions or any bleeding from the teeth or any dental caries, that to be checked. Ask the patient to make the tongue to be up, and you have to see the cavity, whether there is any wound or any infection, that to be checked. And also you have to ask the patient to open the mouth by the way of saying ah, and you have to see the uvula, how the tonsils, whether it is infected or not, that you have to check. Can you open the mouth? So you have to depress the tongue and you have to see, ask the patient to put the tongue out. Can you please move the tongue both the sides? This side? Okay, fine. So now, that is a way of checking the patient cranial nerve, that is the 12th cranial nerve. So the 12th cranial nerve is hypoglossal nerve. So that will be checked. Ask the patient to put the tongue out and to move the tongue in the both the sides, then the cranial nerve is intact. So further, you have to ask the patient to open the mouth and the oral cavity inside, you have to check. And with the help of the tongue, this is the tongue color, the tongue normally to be pink color, and the moisture of the tongue, which is not dry, it has enough moisture, and this both the sides of the oral cavity. So this side to be checked, and the teeth alignment, and ask the patient to open up. Okay, then you have to see inside how the cavity should be there, whether any lesions or anything, that to be checked, and ask the patient to say ah, and you have to see the uvula. Open the mouth. Can you please okay, uvula. So that to be checked. So inside. Now we are going to check the next cranial nerve, that is a gag reflex. That means glossopharyngeal nerve, the cranial nerve, 9th one. So here we have to ask the patient to open the mouth, and just the tongue where you have to go a little inside, so the patient may get the gag reflex. Okay. So here the patient got the gag reflex. So gag reflex. So the nerve is intact. The 9th cranial nerve, that is glossopharyngeal nerve, which is intact. Next to the cranial nerve is 10th cranial nerve. That is the patient can able to talk, and the patient can swallow the food and swallow the saliva. If you want, you can ask the client to swallow the saliva, or if you see the patient with the swallowing the food. So the 10th cranial nerve, that is the vagus nerve, that is intact. After that, you have to record it, whatever you found in the oral cavity, from the lips color, and inside that about the tongue movement, again the cavity, inside any dental caries or any cavity formation, or inside any lesions or any infection or any wound which is there inside both the cheeks, and you have to see the uvula of the, that should be middle located, and both the side tonsils to be seen, any infection. The patient is having a sore throat, you can see the tonsil where it is infected. Then you can check the gag reflex. Put the tongue very clear inside, and the patient may have the gag reflex. That means the nerve is intact. That means the 9th cranial nerve, that is glossopharyngeal nerve, is intact. So when I asked before the patient to move the tongue here and there, that is one of the other nerve, that is a cranial nerve. This is a 12th cranial nerve, that is hypoglossal nerve, is intact. The next one, I'm going to show the assessment of the neck. In the neck assessment, first you have to inspect the neck of the patient, whether there is any lesions or any redness or any pain or any swelling which is present in the neck, that to be, you have to notice that. Then you have to ask the client to move the head up and down and the side to side. This is the way you are checking the cranial nerves. That is the cranial nerve, that is 11th, that is the spinal accessory nerve that to be checked. So can you please move the head side to side? This side. And up and down. Down. Okay. So the patient can move the head from the side to side and up and down. So the cranial nerve, the 11th cranial nerve, the spinal accessory nerve, which is intact. So next one, you have to see how to ask the patient to be 45-degree angle. Any GVD, that is a jugular vein distension, that you have to check whether the jugular vein is distended or not. Let's say 45-degree. So there is no jugular vein distension. So that you have to check. That is JVD, that is jugular vein distension. That you have to check. Then you have to see that carotid pulse. So carotid pulse, you should not palpate both the artery at the same time bilaterally. So unilaterally you have to palpate it. You have to see the carotid pulse, whether it is. And the next side here you have to see the carotid pulse. So both the sides together, you should not palpate the carotid pulse. So after that you have to see the lymph node enlargement. Before lymph node enlargement, you have to see the trachea, whether the trachea is in the midline. You have to palpate and see the trachea is in midline. Any protrusion, that means the goiter. So that also you have to notice that, any goiter or anything. And further you have to palpate the lymph nodes. So when you palpating the lymph nodes, you have to palpate pre-auricular area. That means here in front of the ear you have to palpate the lymph nodes, and post-auricular, back of the auricular region, and digastric region, that there you have to palpate the lymph nodes, and in the mandibular region you have to palpate the lymph nodes, and you have to palpate superficial and deep in the cervical region. You have to palpate the lymph nodes. So both the sides. So this to be repeated in the both the sides. Here the pre-auricular region you have to palpate, and post-auricular region you have to palpate it, and digastric region you have to palpate it, and the mandibular region you have to palpate it, and the cervical region, the superficially and deeply you have to palpate the whether any lymph nodes, any enlargement, and also you have to palpate the clavicular. So here region you have to palpate the any lymph nodes. So there is no lymph node enlargement, there is no abnormalities as found in the neck. So after completing everything, you have to report it about the head and neck assessment.